Hey everybody, it's Rory from A&S Gear, and we're going to look at the Prophecy Z2 today. So this is the latest version of the Prophecy. They had some other versions, and they've kind of worked out some of the kinks and making it as good as they can. So Prophecy here comes in a couple different colors. There's some different shells for it, some different nose sizes for it, which have the basic 200 round one here. We'll put some batteries in it, kind of show you some of the details of it, and run some paint/Reball through it and see how it does. So inside the box, you're going to get your loader, and it's typically wrapped up in a little foam sleeping bag there. And then underneath here, you're going to get some various goodies. A manual, a quick start manual, it has the basics in there. The full manual on CD. There's a little bag here that I can't seem to get to. A sticker, an Empire sticker, and what is this thing here? Oh, just some extra O-rings. An extra spring for your lid, a magnet for your lid, a spring for the battery door compartment, which I'll show you in a minute. Just some replacement parts. It's always good to have replacement parts. People seem to lose things all the time. All right, so we don't really need this anymore. Get that out of the way. So it is a sound activated loader. It does have a sensor in the breech for anti-jam clearing and things, but mostly it's going to run on the sound activation setup. You've got one easy toggle on the back, so this just toggles left and right. So it's not a button that you have to push to turn it on or hold it down or anything like that. You just flip it back and forth. It has an advance arrow and a backwards arrow. So let's say you want to put some pressure on the stack that's inside there. You want to make sure that it's pre-wound and ready to go. You could advance it and spool it up and basically start pushing balls down in there. If you want to clear jam, you can push the reverse button and it will clear it out and then advance balls and try to do that if it's not automatically detecting the jam. Like I said, on-off toggle on the back. The lid is a magnetic lid. So it has 3 different magnets, 2 here and then 1 underneath here. And it's super simple to open. It's got a spring that pops it right up, and closing is a snap as well. The bottom does have the reinforced feed neck. I know earlier versions of the Prophecy had issues with the feed neck where they were breaking, then they came out with the metal replacement version. But this one here, I've never seen it have any problems. And then it is disassembled, or it is able to be disassembled with no tools. You can pull the whole thing apart. The cone, the back cap, the sides, it can all come apart. It is a little harder to put it back together than they would like you to believe. It's not difficult by any means. It just takes a couple times doing it to really know how the pieces fit together. So we'll take it apart real fast. So if I squeeze the top piece and the bottom right here together, the nose cone just comes off. And they sell different nose cones. If you want a larger, smaller, mid-range capacity, you can get different versions nose and change out the shape of the front to change paint capacity. They also have a larger altogether shell, which I think is like 240 or 250 round shell, which is just a slightly bigger one that holds more paint inside there. So it comes off, the nose comes off like that. From this section, if you want to keep disassembling it, rather than going through this section first, I always recommend people to take the back plate off first before removing any of the sides or the feed net or the feed lid. So by pushing on the bottom right here and pushing kind of up and away like that, you want to push this way. You can pop the back plate off and you can see your toggle and your 2 buttons right there. Once the back plate is off, you can lift up the lid and you can separate the 2 halves like that, and you can just wiggle the lid right out. Now there's a spring that the lid rides on, and it sits right inside here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I tried to leave it in rather than having it pop out. It does just slide back in place, but sometimes it can be a little picky as to how it sits in there. So I just leave it in there. There's no reason to take it out unless you're cleaning it or something like that. And then once these 2 pieces are, or this is disassembled and the back is off, then we can push these 2 pieces down and we can take the sides off. Once the sides come off, you can take this tray off also by squeezing these 2 and this one, and the tray comes off. And then you can start cleaning around inside there. We're going to leave the tray on for right this second. And we're going to just work with the batteries right here. This is where your battery compartment sits. Underneath this is a little spring. This is that replacement spring for the batteries that comes in the accessories in the box. And then the other spring that came with was the lid spring. So we've got the front disconnected right now. So we're gonna just kind of slide this out this way and put the batteries in it. If you notice, you always want to take a minute to see where your wires are running before you disassemble something, so that when you go to put it back together, you kind of have an idea of where everything needs to sit. Otherwise, you can run a good chance of crushing all your wires, which is not fun at all, because then you just ruined your loader you got. So be careful with your wiring. All right, so 4 AA. Make sure we put them in the right direction. We're gonna put it, come back here, back in the way it came. Like that, like that. Make sure our wires are all good, and then lock the front back in place. I think my batteries might be dead. Or I'm jammed up on something here. There we go. Yep, I can see this little button on the bottom is hitting the wheel. When this is back together, that won't get in the way and it will spin freely. Let's turn it off and then put it back together so that it works right. All right, so the way I usually do this, I start with the left side. The left side body door or body housing, body shell, and I put that one on first. And I kind of pull down on this so that it's up and cleared out of the way, and then I slide it in and snap it together like that. Now when we go to put the second one in, what typically happens is this back ledge right here, it likes to sit up too high. It's supposed to slide in and stay underneath this lip that sits right here. And if you don't put it together carefully, it actually will ride up too high, and when you try to put it together, it does not lock together properly. So what we're gonna do is we are going to push that down. I'm already pushing it down by hand, and we're gonna try to slide this over and make sure that everything lines up perfectly on the inside. So as I'm trying to push this forward or across, I wanna make sure that this back post section lines up, and as you can see, I've got this one up a little too high, so I'm gonna pull it back, kind of line that up. And I'm gonna look inside here and just make sure that it all looks like it's sitting where it is. And it'll take you a couple times to do it. You'll put this together and you'll look inside there, and one is gonna be, or the wheel that spins around the drive cone, it's gonna be slanted up and it's not gonna be fitting in properly, and your pieces won't go together and snap. So do it a couple times until you figure out exactly how it needs to mash together. And then what happens most of the time I see, you can push these together. You kind of have to force them together hard to get the two pieces to snap together. So if you say I'm just pushing on it normally, it doesn't. But if you give it just a little smack, that thing will pop right up, no problem. Then we're gonna put our lid back on so you can separate the two pieces. That's why we don't want to put this on yet. If we put the back plate on, it doesn't want to spread apart. So back plate is going to be always after our lid if we're reassembling, or before our lid if we're disassembling. So make sure we preset the spring and set that on there. Close it. Back cap. Snap together. Front lid, and make sure that everything snaps together with our lid. Now you can see I've put it together. You see how this doesn't want to close right here? Something isn't lined up right on the inside. So I'm going to take it back off again. I'm going to look and see what could be the problem. Everything looks okay. Just try it again. There we go. Just needs to be redone sometimes. Put it together, it doesn't quite line up, just pop it off and try again. Let's turn it on, make sure we're good. All right. Sound activated. It's gonna wait to feel the tension in the ball stack. When you're shooting, that tension builds up as you stop shooting. That's when it's gonna know that it needs to stop spinning. If you just let it go, even with my finger in the jam sensor, it's gonna just keep turning until it feels that pressure build up from the ball stack and then stop turning. And then once it hears your gun shoot, it's going to start spinning again. All right, so let's put some paint in there. So we've got a mixture of paint, Reball, Redemption. I think there's some Elixir maybe, or I'm not quite sure. Toxic. We're just going to dump a pot of paint in there. And it is a mix, so we'll see what happens, see how well it shoots Reball or loads Reball. Got room for a little bit more. Like I said, it's approximately 200 balls there. So it's primed. What, it didn't hear my gun shoot, so it's not going to do anything. That's good with paint right there, or good with Reball. It feels that that stack come up, stop spinning. But until it hears something shoot, like we happened before, the loader's not sensing anything shooting. Now, you're never going to shoot balls out of your gun without it making noise. So this happening is completely normal. There's no noise, there's nothing happened to make the gun go, or the loader go, so it's just not going to do anything. If I hit the advance button, it's hearing itself turn right now. It's just going to keep on going. With no problems. Didn't have any issues with Reball. Got one extra in there. Feeds great. Prophecies are fantastic loaders. A lot of pro players use them. They work great. The only downside to a Prophecy, I think, is it's a little bit harder to disassemble than some of the other toolless loaders that are out there. But once you get the hang of it, it's simple. It just takes a little bit more time. So if this is a loader that you like the look of it, it works great with Reball. Not all of them do that. This might be a loader for you. So check it out. Prophecy Z2 available through the website with some accessories as well. Order yours now through ansgear.com.